Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, and this is your AM Update.
We want them out. We don't want swapsies.
Border Czar Tom Homan arrives in Minnesota, attempting to build a cooperative relationship with state and local leaders as tensions in the community remain high.
These are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators.
A look into who is funding the well-organized anti-ICE agitators in Minnesota. President Trump kicks off the 2026 midterm election cycle with remarks in Iowa. And Italian officials in turmoil over reports that ICE agents will be at the upcoming Winter Olympics. All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM Update. Relief Factor loves hearing from pain-free customers and hopes they can help you next. One user of Relief Factor named Kim wrote to them to say, quote, "Before trying Relief Factor, I struggled just to make it through my workdays. I'd collapse on the couch at night, aching everywhere. Within a few weeks of starting Relief Factor, the daily pain began to fade. Now I'm keeping up at work and I still have energy left from my family." There are many stories just like Kim's of parents having more love to give, but less stress, less strength to share. Relief Factor does not just ease your pain, it can restore your evenings and your laughter and the simple joy of being present and being a good parent. If you want to feel the difference like Kim with back pain, knee issues, or stiffness that is slowing you down, Relief Factor could give you your mobility back. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free, and it targets the inflammation that causes pain in order to move better, feel better, and actually enjoy life again. Try the 3-week quick start for just $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Let's see if you could be next in getting out of pain. Border Czar Tom Homan getting to work in Minnesota, working to increase cooperation with state and local officials after clashes over federal immigration enforcement, including last weekend's fatal shooting of anti-ICE agitator Alex Preddy during a confrontation with a border agent. The White House laying out 3 key demands it has of Minnesota officials, which it says are necessary to begin reducing the thousands of federal agents currently operating in the Twin Cities. 1, turn over all illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails. 2, turn over all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. 3, assist federal authorities in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes. All of that is currently prohibited by the sanctuary city policies governing Minneapolis and other Minnesota counties, which ban virtually any and all cooperation with ICE. The only additional White House demand that might be honored by a sanctuary city is that the locals turn over any illegal aliens who have active warrants for their arrest. In other words, all illegals for whom the feds have a criminal arrest warrant. This is already something even sanctuary cities are supposed to do, though some still refuse in blatant violation of federal law. Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf tells AM Update Tom Homan is the right man to negotiate these demands with local officials.
It's a stroke of genius from the president sending Tom Homan in. He's got a very unique skill set. He's a 30-year operator, both at Border Patrol and ICE. He understands the mission and the operational requirements and what is needed. So he's able to talk to the governor and the mayor at a very operational and tactical level of, we need access to this type of information for us to do our job. We need local police to do these 3 things. Not everything, but these 3 things to be successful. And so he's able to talk to them at a very, I think, different level than others that perhaps have been talking to them.
Governor Walz suggesting Monday in the Wall Street Journal that Minnesota is already cooperating with federal immigration authorities, writing that his Department of Corrections, quote, honors all immigration detainers, meaning if ICE has marked anyone for deportation who happens to be arrested in Minnesota, state authorities will notify ICE if the person's in custody or is about to be released from jail. Fox News immigration reporter Bill Maluzhin reporting this week that this claim is, quote, very misleading, pointing out that Minnesota state prisons may honor ICE detainers, but its city and county jails do not, and that this is where the fight has always been. So, will cities like Minneapolis change their behavior? Don't bet on it. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, after meeting with Tom Homan this week, posting to X, quote, I shared with Mr. Homan the serious negative impacts this operation has had on Minneapolis and surrounding communities, as well as the strain it has placed on our local police officers. I also made it clear that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws, and that we will remain focused on keeping our neighbors and streets safe. Homan, in an ex-post last night, writing, quote, "While we don't agree on everything, these meetings were a productive starting point, and I look forward to more conversations with key stakeholders in the days ahead. President Trump has been clear. He wants American cities to be safe and secure for law-abiding residents, and they will be." Before meeting with Homan yesterday, Governor Walz appearing on the Bulwark podcast, discussing President Trump's decision to pull DHS Chief Kristi Noem and Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino out of Minneapolis and to turn the Minnesota operation over to Homan.
To be very clear, there's a change in tone, and we'll see. I'm going to meet here later today with Tom Homan. I understand Greg Bovino is gone, and that's a good riddance one. But it doesn't change the fact that the posture is still the same, that this is a unorganized, untrained, dangerous force on the streets that has nothing to do with either immigration or law enforcement. And I'm telling you, these folks that are out there on the streets, they're very skeptical, and rightfully so. So the mood is, there's a hint of hope and optimism, but there is a resolve that says, the end of this is not Greg Bovino leaving. The end of this is a sane policy on how you do immigration reform and stop an attack by the federal government on a state.
After the meeting, Walz's office, with a slightly more optimistic tone, releasing a statement that reads, quote, "The governor and Homan agreed on the need for an ongoing dialogue and will continue working toward those goals." As for how all of this is going over in Minneapolis, hundreds of protesters taking to the Capitol building yesterday, making it clear that nothing short of a full withdrawal of federal officers will do.
We want the 2,000 plus agents that are still here today occupying our communities and putting them at harm's risk for being abducted or even shot and killed. We want them out. We don't want SWATCs. So until that demand is fulfilled, there is simply not a satisfying moment in this change.
In Washington, calls from Democrat lawmakers to remove Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem altogether are growing. Here, Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Peter Welch of Vermont, and Mark Warner of Virginia.
Kristi Noem should resign, and if she doesn't, Congress should impeach her and remove her from office.
She should resign. She is a real problem.
I think Kristi Noem should have never gotten the job in the first place, and if the president had any sense of responsibility, he would fire her.
Moderate Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania also joining calls for Noem's resignation. Two Republican senators, Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, also pushing for Secretary Noem to resign. Additionally, at least 140 Democrat House members signing onto a resolution to impeach the secretary, an effort likely to gain little traction given that Republicans control the House. DHS responding yesterday to the call for Noem to be fired, quote, "DHS enforces the law Congress passes, period. If certain members don't like these laws, changing them is literally their job." President Trump from the White House lawn yesterday appearing to back the secretary.
Is Kristi Noem going to step down?
No, I think she's doing a very good job. The border is totally secure. You forget, we had a border that I inherited where millions of people were coming through. Now we have a border where no one is coming through. They come into our country only legally. So you have to remember those things.
A familiar playbook emerging among anti-ICE agitators in Minnesota. Whistles to signal law enforcement is near, spotters located around the city, coordinated responses resulting in near-instant swarms of disruptors. These tactics have played out in cities across the country. President Trump yesterday on Fox saying these people are not just organic activists.
When I watch some of the people that I've been watching over the last few weeks, these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. These people aren't normal, like, that, they're incensed about anything. How do you get incensed when you go into a state and you're taking criminals out? You're taking monsters out, murderers.
But who is fronting the money behind the madness? Fox News Digital reporting that a review of rapid response messages circulating after Alex Preddy's death on Saturday points to a, quote, hub of communist and socialist nonprofit organizations working as key organizers of the resistance campaign against federal immigration enforcement. According to Fox, many of those groups are funded by American-born billionaire Neville Roy Singham, a, quote, self-declared Marxist-Leninist living in Shanghai. Some of the organizations reportedly trace back to the People's Forum, a nonprofit incubator for socialist and communist groups funded by Singham. The Daily Wire reporting the People's Forum supports left-wing propaganda outfits like Breakthrough News, which creates a bevy of anti-ICE content heavily focused on Minneapolis. Despite not being as well known as left-wing mega-donor George Soros, Singham is not new to the activist scene. In 2023, the New York Times publishing an investigation headlined, quote, "A global web of Chinese propaganda leads to a U.S. tech mogul." The Times reporting that Singham sits at the center of a vast, well-funded influence network that blends progressive activism with Chinese Communist Party messaging, operating a web of charities and shell companies around the world. The Times reporting Singham works closely with Chinese state-linked media outlets, though he told the paper in an email, quote, "I categorically deny and repudiate any suggestion that I'm a member of, work for, take orders from, or follow instructions of any political party or government or their representatives. I am solely guided by my beliefs, which are my long-held personal views." In 2017, Singham married co-founder of the Code Pink activist group, Jody Evans. Code Pink is known for staging sit-ins and protests, including repeated disruptions of congressional hearings. The Times reporting since 2017, about a quarter of the group's total funding came from groups linked to Singham. Alex Goldenberg, a senior advisor at the Network Contagion Research Institute, which studies online foreign influence campaigns, in a 2025 News Nation interview describing Singham's reach and motivation.
He has a footprint in India, South Africa, London, and is quite active in the United States, funding a network of nonprofit organizations to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. And he's not just funding activism. What we find is he's funding and exporting an authoritarian-aligned ideology under the banner of like American nonprofit legitimacy. Doesn't just promote anti-American sentiment, but openly supports authoritarian regimes, repeatedly amplifies voices that glorify terrorism and cause for violent revolutions, such as the globalization of the Intifada. So what is being built here is not a protest movement. I really view it as infrastructure for a deeply un-American campaign to destabilize the country from within.
Earlier this year, the House Oversight Committee voting to issue a subpoena to Singham, probing possible violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which requires individuals to register with the DOJ if they are acting on behalf of a foreign entity to influence U.S. policy. Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna of Florida earlier this month on Newsmax on the Oversight Committee's interest in Singham.
This individual, Neville Singham, is not a FARA agent. He's not registered as an agent of China, and yet he is funding a lot of these anti-ICE riots that you're seeing across the country. And we know for a fact that this guy is an open Maoist. It's actually, he's self-proclaimed. But he is, I would argue, probably worse than George Soros. I do think that you'll see a lot of the foreign funding ties as well as the chaos that we're seeing in this country, specifically now even looking into what's happening right now with these, again, counter-ICE protests now in Minnesota, that you'll see exactly where it's coming from. And it is simply benefiting the Communist Chinese Party. And I will again say we support free speech, but when you are now violently protesting and causing harm to other American citizens, that's where we draw the line.
Singham has not publicly commented on the subpoena, and his Shanghai address could complicate any potential enforcement or investigative efforts. Coming up, President Trump kicks off the 2026 midterm campaign with remarks in Iowa. And Italian officials scrambling after reports that ICE agents will deploy to the Winter Olympics. How are you showing a little extra love this February, whether it's for someone special or just for yourself? Well, there's an intimate question. It's really none of my business, but let me just tell you this. For a lot of people, it starts at home with Cozy Earth. All right, we're going to keep it G-rated. Their bamboo pajama set is a classic Cozy Earth favorite and the sleepwear upgrade you will love slipping into night after night. They are lightweight yet cozy and unbelievably soft. Fall asleep faster, stay comfy longer, and honestly look forward to putting these on every night. This Valentine's Day season, Cozy Earth is offering a buy one, get one, or BOGO pajama deal you will not see any other time of the year, and it's totally risk-free. You get a 100-night sleep trial, so you can really try them out, plus a 10-year warranty. These viral PJs are so good, they sold out during the holidays, and now they're back with an exclusive deal only available January 25, that's the 25th of January, through February 8th. Head on over to CozyEarth.com. Use my code MEGAN-BOGO to get these PJs for yourself and someone you love. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the MK Show. Celebrate everyday love with comfort that makes the little moments count. President Trump on the trail in Iowa touting economic and energy wins, officially firing the starting gun on the 2026 midterm campaign. The stakes could not be higher. All 435 House seats on the ballot, along with 35 Senate seats, setting up a fight for control of Congress that will shape the rest of President Trump's term. In the House, Republicans heading into Election Day with a razor-thin advantage, 218 seats to Democrats' 213. 4 seats are currently vacant. Republicans can only afford to lose a net of 2 seats in order to maintain power. Nonpartisan election tracking website 270 to Win currently showing Republicans favored to keep 206 seats, Democrats likely to hold 210, with 19 rated as a toss-up. On the Senate side, Republicans entering the cycle with a 53-45 majority, with the 2 independent senators, Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Angus King of Maine, neither of whom are up for re-election, caucusing with Democrats. 270 to Win, predicting Republicans come away with 51 seats, Democrats 45, with 4 races rated as toss-ups. President Trump yesterday in Iowa warning voters of what he says will come if Democrats win big in 2026.
I'm telling you, if Kamala won, or any of them, I think Gavin Newsom is worse because, he's destroyed California. If they win, that group, that ideology wins, you will be Venezuela on steroids. And I've said it for years. And you know what? They will destroy our country.
President Trump sticking closely to the script at yesterday's event, speaking for just about 1 hour. Mr. Trump hammering his administration's successful crime-fighting efforts, even in some blue cities.
So you read much about Minnesota, where, unbeknownst to the public, we have brought down crime very substantially in Minnesota. We've taken out thousands of hard criminals, hardened, vicious, horrible criminals. You don't read about things like Washington, D.C., where there is virtually no crime, and it was horrible a year and a half ago. Memphis, Tennessee, which was a real disaster, and now it's down. Crime has dropped by 78% in the last 2 months. New Orleans, Louisiana, I was asked by the governor of Louisiana to help them with New Orleans. It was a disaster, and crime is down 54% in about 3 weeks. You don't read about that. And we've done all of this by taking thousands of criminals out of these states.
The president also laying out legislative priorities going forward.
Last week, I signed an executive order to ban Wall Street and large institutional investors from buying up all the single-family homes in America, because we don't want America to become a nation of renters. Your mortgage interest rates are now at the lowest level in 3 years, and new mortgage applications are up 30%. I've recently introduced my plan to repair the damage of the Unaffordable Care Act, the worst disaster. Obamacare was created to make insurance companies rich with government subsidies. I want all that money that gets paid to the insurance companies to get paid directly to the people.
Election Day is set for November 3rd. As preparations ramp up for the upcoming Winter Olympics in Italy, tempers flaring over reports that U.S. ICE agents are heading to the Games. The AFP news agency reporting early Tuesday that ICE agents will assist with Olympic security next month, triggering backlash from Italian officials. Milan Mayor Giuseppe Sala reacting on local radio yesterday, quote, "This is a militia that kills. Could we ever say no to Trump? I believe they shouldn't come to Italy because they don't guarantee they're aligned with our democratic security management methods. Former Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte posting to X, quote, "We cannot allow this." DHS responding on X, quote, "Obviously, ICE does not conduct immigration enforcement operations in foreign countries. At the Olympics, ICE's Homeland Security Investigations is supporting the U.S. Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service and host nation to vet and mitigate risks from transnational criminal organizations. The U.S. is expected to send a record 232 athletes to the Games, the largest American Winter Olympic group ever, along with a high-level U.S. delegation for opening ceremonies, including Vice President J.D. Vance, his wife Usha Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf, who served under the first Trump administration, breaks down ICE's role in securing U.S. personnel at international events like this one.
So ICE is made up of basically two different branches, which is the Enforcement and Removal Operations, or ERO. The other side of the house is Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI. These are investigators that have law enforcement authorities and powers. And HSI agents will be overseas at the Olympics, providing mitigation and vetting risk against U.S. athletes and U.S. officials, and will be part of the larger security posture that the U.S. government will have there. And there'll be a supporting cast and characters that will go over there to support the U.S. athletes. And they need security, and they need, you need to assess the threats that are coming in on a real-time basis, vet those threats, vet the risk that's ongoing there. And so you need personnel on the ground to do that. And that's what HSI does. They are investigators and can sift through that. So there'll be a piece in a larger pie there.
The opening ceremony is set for February 6th, with the Games ending on February 22nd. And that'll do it for your AM Update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the MK Show, live on SiriusXM's The Megyn Kelly Channel, 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.